Hello, friends. Many people are afraid of sailing and the ocean itself. Even though it may sound senseless at first, there's a good reason for it. Shipwrecks are quite infrequent, but they do occur. And the idea of becoming a castaway can be quite scary. If you don't believe it, ask the 6 teenage boys that got stuck on a desert island for 15 whole months. This story happened in 1965 when 6 teenagers, whose age range was from 13 to 16 years old, from a boarding school in Tonga, decided to escape from the school and travel south by boat. None of them owned one, so they borrowed a fisherman's boat instead. They took some provisions with them, but none thought of bringing along a map or compass. The sky was clear that day, but when the night came, the boys made a big mistake. They fell asleep. When they woke up, the water was pounding against their heads. The wind destroyed the sail and rudder, and then destroyed the whole boat. The 6 boys were adrift for 8 entire days without any food or water. They shared daily what they managed to get, even though it was not much, some fish and rainwater. However, it was still better than nothing. On the 8th day, they spotted an island on the horizon. It was Ata. This place was not a tropical paradise, but rather a huge mass of rock. To this day, the island is considered uninhabitable. However, it was their only chance of survival, so they did everything they could to get there. Fortunately for the castaways, despite being deserted, the island was rich in resources, and the boys slowly learned to exploit them. And it was not easy at all. For instance, it took them almost 3 months to learn how to light a fire by rubbing pieces of wood. Until then, they couldn't enjoy a proper warm meal. Just imagine feeding off coconuts and bananas for 3 months. I bet it was a challenge for them. As expected, complications frequently arise. There were fights and arguments between the group members, but most times they settled fairly quickly. One interesting episode related to this is that one day, one of the boys, named Stephen, fell off a cliff. He broke his leg as a consequence. The others had to pull him up and pin his leg with sticks and leaves. To optimize their energy, the teenagers divided themselves into 3 groups of 2. They rotated between tasks, began and ended their days with a prayer and a song. One of them, Kolo, managed to build a guitar out of a piece of wood, half a coconut, and 6 wires. These types of activities and routines kept them sane and hopeful. The days and weeks passed, and nothing changed. As much as you try to hold on to your faith, a similar situation would surely demotivate anyone. Several times they tried to build a raft and sail with it, but as soon as they left the desert island, the waves tore it apart. As appears, their carpentry skills had certain limitations. Since children were alone and no one could help them, in order to survive, they were forced to create a community based on mutual aid. For 15 months, they managed to subsist by feeding on fish, coconuts, seabird eggs, and birds. They also found bananas and chickens that had belonged to indigenous ancestors and had reproduced freely while the island had been uninhabited. Slowly and patiently, the teenagers finally established a commune with a vegetable garden, tree trunks to store rainwater, a gym with weights, chicken pens, and the permanent fire I already mentioned. They built a shelter out of weaving coconut and palm leaves. All this was made with their own hands and an old knife when required. They also lit a fire and kept it running every day with the hope of being found by anyone. We tend to think these things only happen in books and movies, but once again, life beats fiction. When we face such an extreme situation, we strive to give the best of ourselves. No wonder, since the other solution is to give up and let go. On 11 September 1966, an Australian fisherman, Peter Warner, was sailing his boat near the island and searching for new fishing waters when he heard screams. Being used to sailing, he attributed it to seagulls and continued his work without giving it more attention. But shortly afterwards, he saw a male body desperately swimming towards the ship. Warner thought he was a criminal because such people were often abandoned on remote islands. However, the boy seemed to be in perfect health and shape. He introduced himself in English and explained their situation. They had been on the island for somewhere from 1 to 2 years. Warner was initially cautious. He was skeptical. To confirm the story, he radioed the port of Nuku'alofa, the capital of Tonga. After 20 minutes, the Nuku'alofa operator tearfully confirmed that those children had been presumed dead for a long time. Relatives and friends had been searching for them on nearby islands without results. They were thought to be dead, and funerals have even been held in their honor. Once the story was confirmed, the ship crew picked up the 6 boys to take them back home. When on board, the teenagers explained they were students at a boarding school in Nuku'alofa, the Tongan capital. Fed up with school meals, they had decided to go fishing one day. A storm made navigation impossible, and they got lost. When the boys returned to Nuku'alofa, the fishermen from whom they had stolen the boat pressed charges against them, and they were even arrested after being castaways for over a year. Luckily, Warner had secured the rights to explore the story and had made a deal with Channel 7 in Sydney. With that money, he bailed them out and compensated the fishermen. Their home island celebrated the return for 3 days straight. Everyone was involved, the families, the church, even neighbors. It was such an impressive story it was hard to believe it. Shortly afterward, the boys agreed to return to Otta to film a documentary recreating their time on the island. This film was later broadcast on Australian television. By the way, do you remember Stephen's broken leg? Once they were home, doctors could not believe that the bone had welded so well. To this day, we don't know much about where each of them ended up. One known fact, though, is that in 2015, a Spanish explorer named Álvaro Cerrillo returned to the island with one of them, Colo Feketo. Colo's last wish was to return there and spend a few days on the island. Unfortunately, he died shortly after in 2017, but at least that last wish was granted to him. This impressive story demonstrates what humans are capable of through collaboration, discipline, and determination. That's it for today. Our inspirational story ends here. Please let us know in the comments section below what you think of it. Before going anywhere, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the bell icon to never miss a good story again. I hope you enjoyed this video and see you in the next.